Welcome back to another episode of the ZQUAKE podcast. My name is Julian, and today we are joined by another very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jason Rosen.
Thank you very much.
All right, so
good to be here.
I'm so happy to have you on. For everyone out there who doesn't know who you are, give us like a little summary, little explanation of who you are.
So I was born in Hialeah, Miami, 1971. Miami was predominantly a Jewish area back then. It wasn't what it looks like today. There's a lot of different ethnic people living down in Miami today. People of all walks of life, and it's totally sanitary compared to what it's like today. The crime rate was really low. My parents moved from New York. My mom was from the Bronx. My dad was from Brooklyn. And my dad ended up signing a professional baseball contract to play with the Phillies. So he was in minor league ball for a minute, but his dad told him he was never going to make any money playing baseball, so he should probably just join the Army. So my dad joined the Army. He ended up going into the 101st Airborne Division, and he went to Vietnam. And when he was on leave, I guess that's when I was conceived. And then he went back to Vietnam, and then when he came back and Vietnam was done, I guess he was just a different person when he came back the second time. So, but yeah, they moved from the Bronx and Brooklyn, came down to Miami, and lived in Miami for a while, and then we ended up migrating to West Palm Beach. I've been living here for 46 years, and yeah, it's been a wild ride. I'm the cat with 9 lives, but I feel like I've lived 100 lives because there's so many great athletes that I've had the opportunity to work with, learning from them as well as teaching them. One of the guys that I trained, he's Samoan. He's from halfway around the world, David Tua. He was like my brother when I was training him. I was probably 24 about that time, but I was always into sports. I was always into football. I was always into fighting, but I got into fighting because I basically needed to learn how to fight so I could beat my dad up, because my dad used to beat me up all the time. So, we moved to West Palm. There's a lot of rednecks down here. It was very southern. So I got into fights every day on the way to school, on the way back from school. And it was kind of funny, though, because I fought kids my size. It was a joke. I mean, I'm getting used to hit by a full-grown-ass man, So that was kind of comical. I used to fight like 2 and 3 kids at a time. So played football since I was 8. But yeah, like when I got tired of the beatings, I went down and went to a dojo. It was run by Steve Shepard. Steve Shepard, rest in peace. He's a 6-time world champion kickboxer. He actually fought a guy that was Mike Tyson's sparring partner. And Steve only weighed 155 pounds. So here he's fighting this guy who was like 185 pounds, totally out of his weight class. And he beat his ass. So I feel like I learned how to dig deep from the best, and taking my fighting and football expertise and all the things that I learned from some great teachers or coaches along the way. Whatever was good, I use it. And whatever doesn't fit my style, I just let it go off to the side. But yeah, the first athlete that I ever trained, aside from myself, was David Tua. And I thought he was one of the crazy Samoans. They had these, big, giant Samoan guys back in the day, and they were called the crazy Samoans. At 5:30 in the morning, this gigantic dude walks into my gym. I'm like, I know you. I just seen him, looked in his face. I'm like, where do I know you from? You're one of the crazy Samoans, you wrestle? He's like, no. He said, I'm David Tua. I just fought Ike Ibeabuchi. And I was like, wow. I was like, man, I thought you won that fight. He said, yeah, I thought I won too. And he's like, man, it's like, you're huge. How you get so big? He said, I dislocated my elbow in the 5th round. And then he is a left hooker. And he throws, he's lead off left hook guy. So, you know, I mean, he lost his most valuable weapon 5th round into the fight and totally dislocated. He needed surgery. So Samoans can eat. So he ballooned up to like 285 pounds when I saw him. And I had just signed a pro football contract to play some arena ball. So I was like, man, now I'm at a crossroads. Do I live my dream and play football? Or do I help this dude become the heavyweight champion? So then I look at how much money they pay arena football, and it was crap back then. It's still crap today, so that tells you how crappy it was back then. So $2,500 a week versus $250 a week, and I could be training the next heavyweight champion of the world. I was all over it. I didn't even bat an eyelash. So that kind of sparked a 4-year crusade, and every fighter that I ever trained, they never lost. So, you know, I hung my hat on that, but we got like in the 4th year, and he was about to fight a guy named Hasim Rahman, and Hasim had the IBF belt at that time. And I think Lennox was like the reigning WBC, WBO. But Rockman was ranked number 1, but David had put together a bunch of really good fights, 1st round knockouts with me. And so he got the shot to fight Rockman. The winner of that would fight Lennox Lewis. So wow. So I'm like, wow, I'm right here. Michael Buffer's in the dressing room. Like, this is just, everything's traveling at warp speed. I was just at a Gold's Gym thinking I'm about to play arena football. Now I'm possibly training the next heavyweight champion. So just before the Rockman fight, I was looking over some documents, and they were stealing from David. And David wasn't like a bookkeeper, accountant type guy. He's a fighter. So I looked on there, and allegedly the guy, you know, rest in peace, his name's Lou Duva. He's in the Boxing Hall of Fame. But all these promoters, these boxing promoters, they're all freaking crooks. Oscar De La Hoya, crook. You know, Don King, he's just the biggest crook of all.
Eddie Hearn, all of them.
Eddie Hearn, they're all just trash. That's why I like when I saw Floyd getting his promotion going. I'm like, good, because now you're going to have somebody, you know, that really does care about fighters. And he's been through it too, you know. So, but going back to where I was at, I was like, so, you know, so I'm training this guy, and I catch this discrepancy. I brought it to David's attention. I don't think he knew it was going to happen, but he brought it up to them. They're like, you got to fire him. You got to let him go. He can't sign another contract with you. We're going to get you a way better trainer. I'm like, damn, he knocked everybody out in the 1st round since I've been with him. Like, you know, how much better do you need? Like, you're throwing Arturo Gatti and Vernon Forrest at me. Obviously, I'm not that. Obviously, I just caught you freaking stealing from this guy. So I kind of knew what it was, and so I went down to his hotel room, and, you know, and I was like, hey, you know, it's not between me and you. This is a business thing, you know. You just don't have control right now. So I gave him a hug, and pretty much, you know, I went from Vero Beach in my Toyota Celica, and I came home, you know. And then 2 nights later, he fought Hasim Rahman and knocked his ass out in the 9th round. So, wow. So he calls me, and he's like, Jace, I would have never done this if it wasn't for you. I was like, I know.
How old were you at the time?
24.
So you're 24
25.
You just trained a world-class boxer to knock out Hasim Rahman.
Yeah.
I don't know if you the whole like Jake Paul fighting thing.
Yeah.
He signed a contract to fight Hasim Rahman Jr.
Yeah,
his son.
Yeah, his son. It was his son.
And it ended up like falling through or something.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, you know, Rock was a main events fighter. So we would see him all the time in the gym, because you had like stables, you know. So like Zab Judah, Vernon Forrest, all them Team Freedom. All those boys were main events fighters. David Tua, main events fighter. So, you know, so even though they have the same promotional company, like PBC has the same, but you could end up, you know, having to fight. But we always see Rockman in the gym, you know. And I think Rockman played football before he got into boxing. So he knows what it is to trash talk. But David really doesn't trash talk. He is like a mama's boy. He's like the biggest teddy bear in the world. But if you piss him off, he'll break you in half. So, you know, he just with these little jabs in the gym all the time. So we plenty of, you know, motivation there. You know, so he knocked him out, calls me up. I'm like, wow, you know, that's great. So, you know, here's another great thing. I'm Mr. West Palm, Mr. Florida, and now I train one of the heavyweight champions of the world, right? So I'm like, but I have no fighters to train. So now I got to recalibrate and go through everything again and like, okay, what am I going to do? And it wasn't too much longer, 9/11 happened. A couple years later, 9/11 happened. And I was supposed to go into Homeland Security, Department of Defense, but my wife at the time just got pregnant. So the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, they have a division of Homeland Security here. So you can do a lot of stuff like off the coast and everything. A lot of room for advancement, SWAT team, canine, all that. Plus the benefits were crazy. So I had a choice. I did all my ride-alongs and everything in Riviera Beach. I played football a lot and played football down in Riviera Beach a lot. So I know the area pretty well. So the major, God rest his soul, Boone Darden, he used to come in the gym. I used to work with a lot of the SWAT guys. So instantly when I wanted to become a cop, I'm like, bam, I got it. You know, like I know so many people, you know, and I've been here all my life. Like this is going to be no problem. Freaking Boone gets into a traffic crash and gets killed. Like this guy's been my friend for like 25 years. Now he's larger than life kind of guy. Like arms as big as your head. You know, like just would sit down and talk to anybody. Could talk to a bum on the street corner or could talk to the chief of police. Like just that kind of guy. And now he's dead. He's like one of my mentors too, you know. So I'm like, wow. So really wasn't anything at Riviera for me when he died. And so, you know, looking at the sheriff's office benefits, decided to do that. So got into the gang unit, police athletic league, community policing, all that good stuff, and kind of worked back full circle into that football thing, you know. And there was this kid who was having some issues, and I was working out with this one guy at the gym, and he said, man, that kid over there, he's one of the best football players in the state, if not the country right there. I'm like, who's that? He said, it's Trey Mason. Oh, I never heard of him, you know. Oh, man, he's freaking unbelievable. So I went home and looked up his videos. I'm like, wow, he really is good. So Trey had signed with Auburn. And the problem was Trey was like 178 pounds and he's getting ready to go play SEC football. So I was working out with this dude, Brandon, like my son's name, and he was like, hey, you got to train with this guy. Like, this guy freaking knows everything. Like, just everything. Just train with him, Trey. So I end up training Trey Mason and get him up to like 196 in like probably like 7 weeks. And the Trey Mason story is an incredible story.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
You know?
He still holds the record for most rushing yards in the SEC championship game by like 100 yards. Like, no one's ever come close to him.
And he broke, I'll go even one better. When I was a kid and I was playing football, whether it be high school football or playing in the street, playing Pop Warner, Bo Jackson was larger than life. Trey Mason broke all of Bo Jackson's records at Auburn. If you would have came up to me when I was your age and said, hey, man, you're going to train this guy. He's going to break all of Bo Jackson's records at Auburn. Man, I said, you're out of your freaking mind. No way would that ever happen. But, you know, if you would have said, hey, you're going to train the heavyweight champion, you're going to train the welterweight champion of the world, that's never going to happen. But all these things that I could have never been heavyweight champion of the world. I could have never been nominated for a Heisman and got the SEC MVP rushing over 300 yards against the number one defense in the country, rush defense in Missouri that year. I could have never done all these things. But what's amazing about my life is I helped people do them. you know. And so how many kids, like I think over 100 kids I helped get to college now. So, you know, and you too, you know, I worked with you a lot,
Yeah,
you know, and make you do stuff when you don't want to do it, you know, because I feel like we all, if we're trying to complete something, we all got to make ourselves uncomfortable at some time in our lives.
I have this saying that I tell people. It goes, you think you're working hard until you start training with Jason. Then you understand what hard work is.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand. You come in the gym, you think, oh, I'm pushing myself in the gym. My bench has gone up 20 pounds. All right, work out with Jason. See how you feel. 2 days after that, you won't be able to move. You're going to be lying in bed all day.
Yeah. And you know, and it's just like, and I think I've always had a good barometer to feel different people out. I've always known when to say, okay, you know, that's enough. That's good. Wash your mouth out. Get the snot out of your nose. You know, wipe your face off, you know, and cool somebody off or whatever. But, you know, like, I think I've trained 80, 90-year-old men, women, and worked with the best athletes in the world. So, and I could say that it's more challenging actually training the 80 or 90-year-old person, believe it or not, because their limitations are so vast and so many. Mm-hmm. You have to be careful of every single thing that you do. There's only certain movements that they can do, you know, and you damn sure don't want to hurt one of them because they're already hurting probably if they're that old, you know.
Yeah.
You're just trying to keep those joints lubricated and keep them moving, you know. So, but yeah, so going back to what we were talking about. So, you know, so I'm training football players, and next thing you know, Trey played at Park Vista, mm-hmm. and Chauncey came. His little brother came right after him. You know, Coach Dodds. If you're listening to this, Coach Dodds, you're a piece of crap. If I ever see you, we're gonna get down. This guy is the freaking biggest hypocrite in the world. And Coach Lucina, you know you can get it too. These two people abuse kids, talk to kids worse than I've talked to freaking attempted murderers, rapists. I mean, just like hit pieces on people. And those people should have never been in charge of kids.
They're still coaching football?
Nah, Coach Dodds quit. He got out of there. I don't know what Lucina's doing, but you talk about some people that actually like have negative morals, you know, like negative 25. Like you say, oh, somebody has no morals. No, these people are scum, you know. And when I work with a kid, I'm going to try to find what that kid doesn't do well, and I'm going to try to make it so he does it well. I'm going to find out what that kid does good, and I'm going to make him do it great. I'm going to find out what that kid does great, and I'm going to make him be unstoppable at those things. These people, they create infighting. They, racist comments behind parents' backs. I mean, the stuff that I had to listen to on the sideline, the way that they talk to some of these kids, you know, and they just got away with it year after year after year. I'm like, I know this is against the Florida High School Athletic Association rules. I know you cannot talk to a kid like that. So, you know, a couple of times I said something, so that created a little rift between those two coaches and myself. Well, you know, they retired Trey's jersey in the gym one night and had like this whole ceremony. And Coach Dodge is talking about how many yards Trey rushed for at Park Vista and how many yards he rushed for at Auburn. And then after the whole thing was done, he goes over to Chauncey and says, hey, I'm going to need you to play quarterback this year. You know, it's not all about the numbers, right? It's about, about the team. You just sat there and rattled off my older brother, every freaking statistic that he ever had. And now you're going to go to the younger brother and tell him it's not about statistics. So that created the move to Boynton Beach. And that created the move where Chauncey Mason and Zaire Ivory teamed up with Lamar Jackson.
And Dooley was on that squad.
Correct. And Dooley was on that team. And Those boys did great until they ran into Miami Central.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody knows about Miami Central, there's some college teams out there that would get their ass kicked by Miami Central. So, yeah, so, that was a whole different animal. It was funny, too. Lamar had him. He drove them all. It was like 80 yards. Chauncey caught like this 20-yard out. It was beautiful. They marched right down there, and the receiver that played on the other side of Dooley, he caught the ball in the end zone. They got the touchdown, but they broke his jaw.
In the game?
Yeah, they broke his jaw.
It's crazy.
So I sent a message right then, and then Dalvin Cook's brother was the running back. And next thing you know, it's 42-7 and the game's over. So Boynton scored the first time. The first time they touched the ball, they never even scored. All the offensive linemen, they just gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah. The DNs were like 6'5", 250 pounds.
Are they still like that now? Are they still
I don't know
unstoppable?
what their team looks like. They just re-up every year.
That's crazy.
They re-up every year. They get all the blue chippers down there, and they don't even have a field. I don't know if you know that. They don't have a field at their school. They have to go to Miami-Dade College, where I got one of my criminal justice degrees. There's a field out there. Miami-Dade College has a field. They use Miami-Dade College's field. So they don't even – best football team in Florida,
That's wild.
just about every year, does not have a football field.
That's wild.
Yeah. And maybe the nation. Maybe a lot of times, maybe the nation. Because, you look at all the guys that come out of there, and then, now they have their Aquinas and IMG and stuff like that, right? But back in my day, they didn't have any. It's just up until early 2000s, it's just was Miami Central.
Do you still keep in touch with Trey?
I try to, through Chauncey a little bit.
So you're still tight with Chauncey, his brother?
Oh, yeah. They're like my kids, just like you. You got everybody, I have 100+ kids, know? So, yeah.
So I want to talk about Trey a little because obviously made his way to the NFL.
Right.
Played for the 2 seasons with the Rams. First season, it was 2 seasons, right?
2.
Yeah. First season, outstanding. Second season, Rams draft Todd Gurley. He doesn't get as much playing time.
Right.
After the second season, gone, disappears.
Right.
He's been interviewed a couple of times. People think that it's from CTE. He claims he's never had a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that?
So they've done a lot of studies on this, and I'm gonna go with the science. I'm gonna go and say that human beings are not woodpeckers. I'm gonna say there's a special bone that the woodpecker has inside their brain that stops their brain from smashing against the interior portion of their skull. When I was a kid, we were told, take his freaking head off, put him into the hospital, break his face. That was your job. If you weren't hitting somebody high, you were not doing your job. And believe it or not, I would have rather got my bell rung back in the day than have somebody take out my knees, because there's so many advancements regarding knee surgeries now that people hurt their knees and they go play. Mm-hmm. I'm working with a kid. He's getting ready to play. He had 2 knee surgeries, one on each knee. He's getting ready to start at corner. So, I would have taken it, those hits. But now knowing what I know, and sometimes I'll lose my train of thought. I played from the time I was 8 all the way to the time I was I would say 20,
Yeah.
So right around there. So yeah, I think it's the repetitive.
So you definitely think there is a correlation between Trey not playing football anymore.
Yeah, 40 carries in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
40 carries. That's 2 games. But ask him after the game, how's he feel? He'll tell you, I'll play another quarter, because his body is straight. Nothing wrong with the body. And it's not even the hits that you take that even give you a headache or do this and that. It's it could be. You would think the hit's insignificant when it happens. It's like 30, 40 hits a game. A lot of people, linemen, the offensive linemen, they've done a lot of studies with them, the guys in the trenches, and they're always face to face, helmet to helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a bunch of guys, you got NFL guys committing suicide in their cars. You got, Bernie Kosar. He's down at the University of Miami. They're doing a bunch of stuff. It's called You Matter. And it's You Matter. They're doing some stuff right there, trying to help out. I know they're trying to, engineer better helmets. If there wasn't a problem, why are you spending hundreds of millions of dollars on engineering for these helmets? If there wasn't a problem, why are you taking kickoffs out of the equation? But the NFL don't want to admit that there was a problem because then they'll be liable.
Yeah. I mean, now they're throwing flags for helmet to helmet and calling a little bit of stuff here and there, but I don't think they're taking it nearly as seriously as they should be now. And if they're not doing that now, back then, I mean, it was every man for themselves, do whatever you want type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you saw what happened this season with Tua.
Yeah, he's done.
Concussion after concussion.
He's done. There's no reason for that guy to ever play another down the football. And I love David Tua, and Tua is so funny that Tua got the same first name that my brother David, his last name. So I'm just like, man, bro, you I'm sure like you and I and everybody that's on this whole business floor could live off of his signing bonus.
Yeah.
From last year. So he's
set for life. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't need
he's going to play again, and it's sad because I really think that he shouldn't.
He shouldn't. He should not.
It's crazy. I mean, it was like 2 or 3 concussions last season and staying on the ground. You can't play after that.
Yeah, Troy Aikman tried to do it. Troy Aikman, the last year he was in there, he got a concussion. First game, I believe it was against the Eagles or the Giants. And then he was out. And I believe it was Bernie Kosar who actually came in his place. And then he came back. He was okay for like 1 or 2 games, and he got another concussion on the sideline. And it wasn't even that somebody hit him. And like with their helmet, they pushed him as he was going out of bounds. And he was like, as you're falling on your back, and his back kind of just, his head hit the back of his head, hit the ground. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's like, it's like in boxing, right? It's not going to be the punch that you see that knocks you out. It's the punch you don't see that knocks you out. I mean, and same thing for, these football players. I mean, I'm Trey Mason. I'm carrying the football, and there's 11 people trying to freaking smash me into the ground. And some of them weigh over 300 pounds, And so Trey ain't running towards the edge. Trey was taking it right up the middle on that delayed counter draw. They're running RPO. And, and that's the thing. So he was a workhorse and just unbelievable. Like, if you could bottle up like the most pure athletic ability and put it into a 5'9" person, that would be it. That would be the perfect thing. I mean, you're talking like dude's 5'9" doing 360 dunks. Like, amazing. And then when he was, I don't know if he went back into the Canadian League for a year. Did you see that?
Yeah, CFL.
So I trained him in the off season for him to go into the Canadian League, and then he hurt his knee in one of the last games. Ever since he hurt his knee, like, that was the final straw for Trey in football. But even after that, I was working with Tevin Homer, who's Travis Homer's older brother, right? And and we were doing some stuff, and Trey and Chauncey came out there. Trey was in freaking socks and shorts, and he's out there just routing up the DBs.
After the knee stuff. After
Yeah,
all that.
yeah. Like, and he weighing at 175 pounds. Like, not working out, not nothing. I mean, so fast getting off the line, like you can't even see it. You know? And so it's just, it's that was a crushing blow, to see somebody you care about so much, struggling so hard when everything up until that point, life had been so easy. Like just a gimme. Everything was a gimme, and it gives me pause a lot of times. Like that's one of the things, like, I pray about it every day that, that Trey will find peace, and that, that he can, finally start, living, somewhat of a normal life, because a lot of us, we honestly take for granted boredom. Boredom is a good thing. Boredom's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're an athlete and you got girls out there want to throw rape accusations at you, you got guys out there that are jealous for how good you do on the field, you're stealing their thunder. Because admit it, it won't matter who you are. Cam Newton or Trey Mason walk into the joint, it don't matter what guy is in there. Like, all the girls that are in there, their attention, married, not married, is going right to them guys. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, it's crazy when you see, like somebody just living life to the absolute fullest, and then, on the other side of it now in that struggle,
Yeah.
I think, we all have our valleys, I think, right?
Yeah.
And we all, we get to the top of the mountain, but that's why when we get up there sometimes, you got to remember, man, that's going to pass. It's not always going to be good. More times than not, it's a struggle, and then every now and then we get those few gems that, that make us feel like, hey, like I really did something there. It's like when a father calls me up and, say, hey, my son just got a full scholarship. Thank you so much for everything that you did. And I'm like, yeah, and I ended up, I used to train kids for like $10. And here your kid's getting a $250,000 scholarship. You're welcome. But, and when I was going to church a lot, some of the church members, they'll be like, hey, how come we don't see you on Sundays, like we see you every now and then at a Bible study here and there, but we don't see you, on Sunday anymore. So I'm working with kids. I'm trying to keep kids off the street. Do you want them breaking in your car? Or you want them, doing something with their life and going to get an education and working hard, and that's why I always felt like I was doing God's work on Sunday, even though I wasn't, at church. I didn't feel like I had to be at services, so, and good works alone won't get me in, but it's not going to stop me either, so. Yeah, I've had very, very diverse life.
Yeah. It's crazy. You can't take anything for granted.
Nothing.
Your life can just like that.
On a dime.
Yeah. Shout out Trey Mason though.
Yeah, man.
Come on here. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Let's get Trey on here.
Yeah, it'd be nice. To just have a conversation. I saw him like 2 New Years ago, and Tevin was here and stuff, and they were all at a party, and then I went in there and music was playing really loud, and there were like 5 or 6 athletes in there that I had worked with in the past, and and Trey, like, they were playing the music, it was like loud as hell, and Trey just went over to the music and he shut it off. And he said, everybody shut the fuck up. I'm looking around, what's going on? Trey stands up on the coffee table. He said, this is the baddest motherfucker in this place at the moment. Y'all give this man respect. And he got down off the coffee table. He comes and gives me a hug. He says, "Sorry, bro, I just got to let everybody know the real man is here." And I'm just like, so he always gives me my respect, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's why it hurts to see somebody you care about struggle so
Mm-hmm.
much, you know, and you want to help them and you want to do something for them and whatnot, but you kind of realize, like, you know, he's not with me every day. I can't control him, and, you know, he's a grown man, and, you know, and I mean, I was going through a tough time the past 2 years with my back.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go talk to a psychiatrist, and I'm not gonna lie, they gave me some medicine, man, and that shit made me crazy. So I could see why Trey might not want to take, if they're giving him some type of meds like that, because some of the meds they give you for depression, they make you feel sick, they make you feel clammy, they give you a headache, you can't even feel your skin. Okay, I'm like, I'll take depression over that any freaking day.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why a lot of people, they don't take their meds. You know? I found out just with my back hurting and everything, and my leg and my sciatic nerve that was just giving me a bunch of issues, that was me not sleeping. So
how's your back doing now?
Oh, it's amazing at the moment.
That's
you know?
cool. I love to hear it.
Yeah, like I say amazing, you know, it's like I'm at like between a 5 and a 7.5, 8 every day on a 1 to 10. But when you're repetitively day in, day out over 10 and going to the hospital twice a week, like, yeah, they just put that spinal cord stimulator in my back. I don't know if you ever heard about those.
No. What?
Yeah, it's like this.
What is it?
It's like this little box. It's probably like a little, almost looks like a key fob. Mm-hmm. And it's got wires that come off of it. And they use a catheter and they thread these wires all the way through your spine. And the device, you have to charge it like every other day. And it has different settings on it. But yeah, it blocks the pain from your brain to the point of the affected area.
Like the pain receptors to your brain?
Yeah.
How do you charge it?
Just like this little thing. It's got a paddle, and I put it on my back, and then it's got like a little wire that comes off of it, and, you know, just got to turn that on, and, you know, once I get all my bars all the way across, it's fully charged. Like every day. I do it like every day, so I did it this morning, you know?
That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I remember we went to the gym like probably last year, and you were like, man, my back has just been
Shot.
crazy.
And you know, and it was just hurting so bad that, like, it wasn't even like at times that it was my back. It's like my leg was hurting. It felt like there was fire ants in my leg every freaking moment of the day. And it was either Valium to stop my leg from hurting, and so much freaking gabapentin is supposed to stop like pulsating nerve pain for neuropathy. And freaking either oxycodone or Dilaudid. And that stuff was freaking horrible because I have a very opioid sensitivity.
Okay.
So, yeah, so if I think anything for too long, I think my body gets an allergy to it. Like, I can't drink. I can't sit down and drink alcohol. And if I have 2 beers, my sinuses will be so clogged up, my throat will be clogged up, and I have to take Benadryl. Like, it's just absolutely no good for me. And then, you know, I was in the hospital with back issues when it first started in 2008, and they left a piece of gauze in my back, you know, and shoot, I got opioid sensitivities back then. Like, gave me morphine. I got hives from it. It was like I was just on pain meds or something too long, and then so oxycodone ended up giving me like burns all over my shoulders and my chest, and so they moved me to Dilaudid, and that seems to be the only freaking strong pain medication that I can take when my back is messed up that doesn't make me sick.
That's crazy.
That, and I'm on Tramadol right now. It's called Tramadol 50, but it's very light compared to the other crap that I was taking. So yeah, I'm happy I'm not going to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I'm able to do stuff with my son. I'm happy that I'm able to sit in a chair for more than 10 minutes. I would go to the freaking doctor's office and I'd lay down on the floor and put my feet up on the chair. The appointment's for 11. You're sitting in the waiting room until 11:45.
Yeah.
Like I have a bad back and you just operated on me. You know that. Why are you making me sit in a chair for 45 minutes?
It's crazy.
So yeah, just the little things, but losing your independence is rough, man. It's like, I'm such an independent person. Shit, I've been the post that people can lean on. And now all of a sudden I'm like, to my son, Brandon, can you do this? Brandon, can you get that? Or my girl, and it's like, yeah, that's what sucks.
Yeah.
Losing your independence is really.
I can't imagine going through that for years.
Yeah.
Like I had surgery in the beginning of this year where I was out for 8 weeks. I had surgery on my stomach, so they said don't do anything that engages your core. Okay, well don't do anything then, because everything engages your core.
Yeah.
So for 8 weeks,
getting out of bed engages your core.
Yeah. So like I was like, okay, so I really can't do anything for 8 weeks. It was the worst 8 weeks of my life. I'm in the gym almost every day that I can. I'm always active, running around. For 8 weeks, it sucked. You went through that for years. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and when you're like you've only had, like 15, 16 years of being independent or something.
Yeah.
Not even. I mean, you're young still. It's like wait till you move out on your own and you start travel around the world and you do all the things that I have, and then all of a sudden you can't even freaking stand on your feet to wash your own dish. It's like, you can, it's just going to be aggravating. You're going to feel like throwing something, so yeah, it was just so aggravating. I was at a point, I was in the hospital, and if the nurse would have walked in with a gun instead of a shot, I would have taken the gun. Take me out, because I was just over it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And this, yeah, man, it's nothing. Like, I felt like an infant.
Yeah.
I broke the rails on the hospital bed. Like, I was so much freaking pain, and they put the rails up on the bed and stuff, and like thrashing about. Man, I was like pushing out on them so hard, I just snapped the freaking rails on the hospital bed.
Crazy.
Because you're trying not to cry or scream out, and and sound like a freaking, like a bitch. But yeah, that was like really, really hard, like trusting other people. And before they implanted this device in my back, I'm like, I'm still in a shitload of pain, man. I can't freaking live like this. They're like, they said, I don't know what I can do. It's scar tissue. We went in the same spot like 3 times, and it's there. I'm like, listen, I then remove the scar tissue. And then the neurosurgeon was like, yeah, but if we do that, we'd just probably be creating more scar tissue.
Yeah.
So let's just try this spinal cord stimulator, So it's given me some pieces of my life back.
That's good.
Yeah. Mental health is a huge topic right now, right?
Yeah. Crazy topic right now.
Yeah, like everybody is like after the COVID thing.
Every other person you meet is going through some sort of depression.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on with that?
I think that people were manipulated for an awfully long time. I think that, just like you said, how did you feel in the 8 weeks when you couldn't do anything? But they did that to the whole country, right?
Yeah.
So, Yeah. So
I can't imagine. I mean, we know what we were doing during COVID. During COVID, me and you out with all the FAU guys on the
yeah,
field, getting reps in.
yeah,
2 hours, 3-4 times a week outside, but everyone else sitting in their house.
exactly. And so that was like, I think that has, and Florida was different too,
Yeah.
because Ron DeSantis, he didn't close a lot of stuff down, right?
Yeah.
He left a lot of stuff open, and and everybody just had to wear masks. And I remember, the restaurants came back a little bit faster here than in some other places, but we have already proved that the government has power over us.
Yeah.
That they can tell us, you need to stay home. You need to stay home. And like, look what they did. I mean, I'm in the fitness industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look what they did to these gyms, man.
Yeah.
They shut these gyms down, and man, oh man. And then what came along with shutting all these places down and shutting the country down, and then you had all this fraud going on top of that. So I think it's a double whammy, right? Because government money was going to people that couldn't work, right? And then on top of that, people aren't working, right? And then people are committing fraud on top of all of that.
Only government money if you're a large corporation. If you're a small business, forget it. You're getting left in the dust. Gone.
Exactly. And then like I was, shoot, I was hurt for this past 2 years, and I was like, man, I was waiting for my Social Security disability to come through, and I'm like, man, every month, I was having hey, can I borrow money from this person? Hey, can I borrow money from that person? And thank God I helped as many people as I did, so, and thank God that, those people were like, yeah, man, I got you. And that really helped out a lot. There was a lot of people that came through for me when, it got really rough. Like if it would have went on like another week, I'd have probably lost my vehicle. Like that's how bad it was. Cause I was trying to keep up, and my savings was going, and I'm like, man,
can't work, and
I'm not, and then I was like, oh man, how am I gonna pay all these freaking bills, man? And then my girl's paying the whole mortgage and the whole electric bill, and then I'm divorced, so my son, he lives all the way in Coral Springs, so I'm like, okay, I live in Delray. It's like 40 minutes that way and 40 minutes back. And then when gas was like damn near $6 a gallon, that was just crushing me. Crushing me. They say on average, the average person is spending $790 extra a month than when Trump was president.
You see the egg prices now too?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like almost $8 for eggs.
It's like you tell all your athletes, eat some eggs in the morning. I remember you used to tell me that.
Cheapest thing they eat, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Everything is, and they said, I was watching this other thing. They said, kids that are my son's age, if they don't get a freaking kick-ass job, or they don't find something that's going to make them a bunch of money or whatever, that's a lot of these kids that are, his age, that say, man, they're going to be home until they're 35.
Yeah.
They won't be able to leave their home till they're 35. They won't have enough money.
Crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, we bought our house like low 300s. Like 6 months ago, I went into the mailbox and somebody wrote on there, give you $550,000 cash for your house. Just on
good investment.
Yeah, but then where do you go?
Exactly, right? You sell it, where do you go? There's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
You go to Texas or something, you could probably find, but you're going all the way to a different state. Who wants to do that?
You can go to Las Vegas and buy a really nice house. You just when you're gone, you'll get everything will be burglarized. You'll come back and your house will be freaking empty. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
and you end up just losing all of your money gambling on the strip. In Vegas.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's like all the fighters that I ever trained, it never ever even bothered me that, we were staying at Bally's, any of the hotels, any of the hotel casinos we stayed at. I didn't, the MGM, I didn't, I never wanted to gamble.
Never interested you?
Never, ever interested me at all. Not at all. Maybe it was because, like, especially when I was training the fighters, like, cigarette smoke absolutely repulsed me. And you really don't want to be around anybody smoking or anything. So, in those casinos, it's free drinks and free cigarettes. As long as you're gambling, it's, smoke and drink as long as you want. So, so maybe that was probably one of the reasons.
That's a good thing, though. Think about how much money you would have lost.
Yeah, or won. I had plenty of money to lose or win back then. So, yeah, but yeah, I feel like I'm a very fortunate person. I know I could have never done a lot of the things that I helped other people do, but being able to help them and playing an intricate part in certain people's lives and watching them succeed, that's made my life worth it. I could go tomorrow and I'd be good. There's only one thing bothering me right now in my life. We won't talk about it, but yeah, there's just one thing that bothers me in my life, and the rest of it.
Don't want to talk about it?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But other than that, like, I tell you, if I check out tomorrow, I'm okay. Like, I did enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I helped a lot of people. I did it in a good way. I never cheated anybody, and I feel blessed, to be actually 52 years old, because there was a lot of times where I didn't think I would live over 35, just all the stuff that I would get into.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you mentioned how you train the homers.
Yeah.
So you train Tevin and Travis?
Yeah, I first started training Tevin, and Travis is younger. Mm-hmm. Travis, he just got traded to the Bears from the Seahawks, right? Mm-hmm. So, I trained Tevin first, and Travis was scared. He didn't want to train with us because I was training, Tevin and Trey Mason and stuff like that. And so, like, I was like, and Travis also has an older brother named Trey Vallet, and Trey was training with us also because they were getting ready to go to, I think it was Arkansas Baptist College. It was like a JUCO. And Tevin and Trey, which is not Trey Mason, but Tevin's older brother. Okay. Yeah, they went there, and then Trey Vallet ended up like not really wanting to pursue football anymore. He's got his own business now. And so Travis was afraid to train with us, man, because I was making the other boys throw up all the time, like every practice. I'm making them throw up. Mm-hmm. So Travis is like, no, I'm good. I don't want to throw up. And like,
it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was talking to one of my friends yesterday. I know he's gonna laugh when he sees this. And he plays baseball, and he's talking about how he does this baseball conditioning, and he's like, dude, we do this thing called Hell Week before the beginning of the season, and he wouldn't last. I was like, bro, you have no idea what I used to do with Jason. Like, dog, that's probably easy.
Baseball?
For me. Yeah. Tell him that I'm making it through that easy.
It was like spitting exercises for your jaw. So you can run your mouth more,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. He's like, dog, baseball takes more conditioning than you think. I was like, bro, like, I'm sure it's not that easy, but you don't understand how I used to train.
Yeah, baseball. Yeah, like I said, my dad, I tried out for the Marlins. I was a great baseball player, just not my thing. You don't have to be in great shape to be a baseball player. Big Papi is not in shape.
That's exactly what I said. And he's like, oh, he's just a DH. And I was like, bro, come on.
Come on, man. Yeah. It's Big Papi.
Telling me I can't last a Hell Week in high school baseball. Okay.
Oh, man.
Try training with Jason Rosen with NFL players, D1 players.
Hey, tell him it's summertime.
In the summer, yeah.
It's summertime now, and you can tell him he can come FAU. You know, tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. He can meet us out there. And he can come and work out with some football players, and we'll see if baseball is harder than football.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he won't. He's gonna be throwing up in like 20 minutes out there.
and, you know, how about the FAU basketball team?
I know,
They made it to the
that's
Final
crazy.
Four. I should have worn my hat.
You got a lot to live up to now with the
Yeah,
football team.
I'm telling
You gotta outscore them. You gotta win the championship, or at least make it to the championship.
FAU football refuses to get offensive and defensive linemen. They will never win a national title, ever, ever, ever. Maybe a conference championship, but
Why is
they
that?
just won't. It seems like they just refuse to go out and get offense and defensive linemen. All their skill position players, all their corners, all their linebackers, their running backs, their receivers, their quarterbacks are always so-so, but
Have you talked to them about
all
that?
the backs? No, about what?
About getting some offensive, defensive linemen?
Oh, I'm nobody to them. They have new people in there. You know, Taggart's not there anymore. There's a whole new coaching staff.
But aren't you out there training? them?
I just work with them players
outside
outside of the team. Yeah, I can't work with other coaches, man. I can't. All these guys come to me and they're supposed to be playing DB, and I'm like taking them through DB warm up, and they're freaking trash. TJ wasn't good. I had TJ out there. I'm like, you know, I trained TJ when he was young, like 12 years old. Then he went to FAU, and they recruited him as an athlete. I went out there to watch Chauncey play a couple of games. I saw TJ out there. So they put him in at safety every now and then, and that's when he was number 32. And he had a very insignificant first year. And then, you know, COVID happened. Then, you know,
That's
like,
actually when I met him when we were training.
yeah,
him.
and then all them boys hit me up, and then now TJ holds the record for pick sixes at FAU.
How's he doing now? Where's he at?
He's at Ole Miss.
He's playing there?
Yeah, with Lane Kiffin. This is last year.
You think he's gonna make NFL?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stay healthy. If he stays healthy, yeah.
I think I went to a game maybe 2 seasons ago,
Uh-huh.
and I don't remember if it was him or what was the running back that we used to.
Oh, Singletary?
No, not
Oh, James.
James. Yeah,
Yeah, James
it might have
Charles.
been him.
Yeah, James
He
Charles.
gave me a pair of gloves or something at the game.
Oh, cool.
It was like his last game or something.
Yeah.
And then one of the other DBs, I forget his name also. There's another DB that was out there with us.
Who, Shiesty? He played for the Giants now?
No.
No.
Can't remember it. Anyways, yeah.
Zion, it wasn't Zion Gilbert? Number 24?
I don't think so.
Was it Chico?
Yeah, him.
Oh, Chico?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still talk to him?
Yeah, I talked to all them boys.
Yeah, that's cool.
I freaking threw the ball one time. We are doing drills, and Chico and freaking TJ was running across the field, and Chico about ready to catch the ball. As soon as he goes to catch it, TJ knocked it down, and he stubbed freaking Chico's finger so hard that the freaking bone came out of his skin. I was like, he's like, man. He started freaking out. I'm like, what? He's like, my hand. So I took the glove off. I was like, oh no. I was like, man, just look the other way. And I pushed it back in the skin.
Oh,
and then he had to go to the trainer and get it sewn up, you know. But, you know, those guys train so hard against each other.
Mm-hmm.
That it doesn't ever surprise me when they do good. You know, the issues I have is when they don't play up to their potential, you know, or a little bit above it, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, now I remember. Right. I went to the game. I sat like front row behind their bench, and I called TJ's name, and he just turns around and looks at me, and he wouldn't even come over. He just wouldn't get, yo, TJ, bro, if you're listening to this, bro, what happened? We used to be tight. You used to be my favorite guy out there, and then when it came down to it, you didn't want to give me you didn't even want to look at me. All the other guys after the game came to say what's up. They were all cool, and TJ just, I don't know, man.
So let me tell you something about TJ. So before last season started, Kenny, one of the guys that I trained.
Yeah, he used to come out there with us, yeah.
So Kenny, one of those guys, Kenny goes to walk on out there. And out of like 150 guys, Kenny makes the team. So, but it's the last workout we're going to have before Kenny tries out. So TJ and Kenny are supposed to meet me at the field. It's just supposed to be those two guys. TJ shows up with like 6-7 guys out there. All DBs. He's got the whole DB core out there. I have to throw all those balls. So TJ's on the phone with NIL. You know, they're getting all this NIL money, right? So TJ's on the phone with NIL trying to get this deal made. And I'm like, TJ, are you training or are you talking on the phone? He's like, oh, just give me a second. Well, he finally comes over. He does a couple of reps, and then he goes and gets back on his phone. So I'm like, bro, please just put the phone down, get back on the phone. So he comes back over. He starts dropping the ball. He's dropping ball after ball, and I'm not making it easy for him. I'm stretching the shit out of him, like making him reach, throwing him balls like 2 inches above the ground. And then I stretch him up high. Like he has no idea what's coming at him. He's just dropping every damn thing. I said, see, if you were more focused about freaking training today instead of that NIL bull crap, you're going to drop all those freaking balls, right? And he's like, fuck you. I'm like, no, fuck you. So we started going back and forth at it, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not the first time. It won't be the last. So, you know, we're just going at it. And he gave me one of the FAU footballs, one of the game balls. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like walking towards my car, and he's still talking shit. And like he turns to get in his car, and I freaking threw it as hard as I could. That shit hit him right in the back of his head. Hey, I hurried up and got in the car and drove away. I didn't want him to freaking start coming after me. But yeah. And then like, I want to say like, shoot, not even that long ago, like right before this past season started, he was like, calls me out, he's like, so what you on though? What? You know, what you on? I'm like, just chilling, what's going on? Yeah, so I need to get some work in and shit. I got a broke neck. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, my neck was broke. The freaking trainers at FAU, they told TJ he had a shoulder stinger. He had a freaking couple of chipped bones in his neck. So he had to go to the Miami Dolphins freaking surgeon and get fixed up. And like they are freaking making this guy play with a freaking chipped bone in his neck. Oh, it's just a shoulder stinger. You're all right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I tell a lot of these guys, man, when they come to me and I'm like, you know, it doesn't surprise me like they're not moving the way they're supposed to, because I think the coaches just look at them and they go, okay, this guy's 6'1", 190 pounds, and he runs 4.4. He's either a receiver or a cornerback. That's all they do. They don't really look and see how the guy moves side to side or whatever, you know. So when I get them, you know, they're just running defense. They're just doing schemes out there. They have no idea about proper biomechanics. They have not a clue. And that's when they come out, like I said about TJ, like he came out to Tevin and I's first workout, and I'm just looking at Tevin like, what's going on? Is this really, like, I couldn't believe what I'm looking at. I'm like, these are D1 football players? I'm like, I got high school kids that are better than this. And I did have some high school kids out there that showed their ass up. My boy Cole, you know Cole? The blonde Cole, Ponacek.
Oh.
I don't know. He came out.
Oh, there. Yes.
Cole, the white kid.
Yeah.
Him and Jet. Like
Jet
him and
Coolman,
Jet, yeah.
I used to be tight with Jet's younger brother, Jace
Right.
Coolman. Yeah, I worked with them a
So
couple of times. Yeah.
so yeah, so you know, Jet and freaking and oh boy, they're just making all these guys at this D1 school. These are high school kids. Cole and Jet are making these guys look horrible. Like, you know, and it's just to me, I'm just like, I have no idea what the hell they're teaching these kids at the school. You know?
Yeah.
It's that's why I can't work with a coaching staff.
You won't ever be another you won't head coach even?
No, I would never.
Really?
There's too much politics in that. You know, I like to be the guy behind the scenes. I've always been that guy. Like, really cool to meet you, Michael Buffer. Really cool to meet Muhammad Ali. You know, like, I met some Roy Jones Jr. I met some really cool Donald Trump. You know, like, people I would have never, ever met if I wasn't training fighters.
But you don't want to be all over. You just want to, you know, stay calm, stay behind the scenes.
Yeah, I like that.
You
I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that. Because people are like, oh, so you know who Jim Lampley is?
No, who is that?
So he's that salt and pepper hair guy on HBO boxing, Jim Lampley. He's that sportscaster. I mean, before HBO boxing got bought out by Showtime, right?
Yeah, I've seen this guy before.
Okay, so Jim Lampley in the late 90s, he is married to a double, his wife, his real wife was a double amputee. She got into a horrible car accident. She's a double amputee. So we go to Atlantic City. I forget who we were fighting, I think. I don't remember who we were fighting. I know we were in Atlantic City, and Roy Jones was at the bar. And so I walk in, you know, and David's like off getting the room and stuff. And like, I see Roy Jones. I'm like, I go right over to him like, hey, I'm not going to bother you or anything. I don't want to get your autograph or anything. I was like, I just want to shake your hand, you know, like, yo, it's like, you're like my idol, you know? Mm-hmm. And so he sees I'm wearing a Tua Man shirt. He's like, oh, you with Tua? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. So later on, when, you know, everybody is like mulling around backstage and you got the pre-fights. You have different fights, you know, going on before you go on. Nate Tubbs. We fought, I think it was the Nate Tubbs fight. Or it might have been the one before that. But we're sitting there and I'm like, wow, look at everything is just so surreal. And Michael Buffer comes walking in there. Hey, how you doing? You know, and you're like,
yeah, with that
no
voice, when you hear,
freaking way.
What was your reaction when you heard that voice in person?
He looks plastic when you look at him in person. He looks plastic.
Dude, he looks fake online too.
So
like,
yeah, so but man, his voice is just like magnetic, man. And you know, and then so like I'm over there and I'm like working Dave's gloves in and out inconspicuously and shit, you know, and you're just, I think when you meet a bunch of people that you never thought that you would meet. And you're like, and all of a sudden it's just like, kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's really not. And just people like you and I, right? Mm-hmm. They just happen to have some very special talents, or we know them all. But Jim Lampley sat there and was like, he's with these two hot ass chicks. And so I'm talking to Roy Jones, and I'm like, yo, I'm like, that's Jim Lampley over there. He's like, yeah. I'm like, which one of them is his wife? He's like, man, that neither one of his wife. He's like, his wife's a double amputee. She's probably sitting at home right now. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So David wins his fight, right? Mm-hmm. Knocks the dude out in like first or third round. I forget what it was. And I got the bag, and I'm walking back. I'm like, it's a very uneventful night, you know, it's just like for another first round knockout. So David just, you know, since he's from Samoa, he just want to go upstairs, call his mom and dad, let them know that, you know, he won and he's okay and this, that, and the other thing. So I'm like, hey, do you mind if I go out? I'm like, you know, like I've been kind of cooped up too in this training camp, you know, like I want to go out. I want to go to the club and, you know, I'm young. I'm still like 27, 28. I'm like, I want to go see what Atlantic City is all about. So I'm walking down the boardwalk, and I come upon this really cool club, and it's like all neon on the outside, and I go up in there, and freaking Jim Lampley's sitting at the bar. I'm like, I got this dude now. So I go up there, right, and Jim's over there. I say, hey, man, I said, what do you think about David Tua? He said, man, he looked pretty good. His weight was 225. I was like, yeah, you see he had abs, right? And he was like, yeah, he looked really good. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, I'm his trainer. Like, he's going to be the heavyweight champion of the world. He said, no, he'll never beat Lennox Lewis. He has got too many issues regarding his weight and all. And so I was like, wow. I said, you really believe that? I said, like I said, he's eating 5 times a day. Like, he's not going to be falling down that 240 slope anymore if I'm around. He's like, make sure you stay around. And it was so crazy as after he knocked out Rockman, right? Mm-hmm. I had to let me go. So he knocks Rockman out. Now he's got to fight Lennox Lewis. He showed up the Lennox Lewis fight. If you look at it, he's 250 pounds, 25 pounds overweight. So I knew as soon as he weighed in at 250, he's losing. I know Lennox is going to box his ears off for 12 rounds. He won't knock him out because David's got, like, one of his legs was 32 inches around. So that's as big as your waist. That's one of his legs. So he's not going to get knocked out. So I think I had, like, I want to say I bet $10,000 on that fight.
On Lewis?
Yeah.
And he won?
Yeah. 12-round decision. And I bet the decision. So I think I won an extra $5,000 on a decision.
That must suck.
Because I knew as soon as David weighed in at 250, he was not in shape.
That must suck betting against your own guy.
Yeah. And
well, I mean, even though you weren't training him at that point, that's still your guy, you know?
Yeah, but it's I know fighting, right?
Yeah.
I know fights. And I know fighters. And I know when my fighter was in shape, and I know when he's not in shape. If he could barely beat Jeff Wooden at 234 pounds, right? 234. That guy was the Marine Corps champion, gave Hasim Rockman all he could handle before Rockman knocked him out in like the 10th round. I think he knocked Jeff Wooden out. Wooden was the Marine Corps champion. He is like no slouch at all. David fought him in Mississippi. That was the very first fight I trained David for, and he barely won a 10-round decision. I got him from 285 to 234 in 4 weeks.
That's crazy.
In 4 weeks. And he called me right after that fight. He said, hey, if it was not for you kicking the shit out of me every freaking day, I would have never won this fight. I am going to sign you. And that after that fight, that's when I signed my contract. I didn't even charge him and for that whole fight. I didn't charge him to train him at all. And I was charging like $50 an hour at the time. I didn't even charge him. He was like, you sure I'll pay? I'm like, no, let's see how it works out. And he beat the shit out of that guy, but it went all 10 rounds and it shouldn't have. Like if he was 225 instead of 235, it's a second round knockout. You can see the difference in speed when you look at that 9th and 10th round versus Rockman, and then you can see there's no speed against Lennox at all. So now, something that I tell my son. So after David knocks Rockman out in the 9th round, he secures a fight against Lennox Lewis. David then loses that 12-round decision to Lennox Lewis. Hasim Rockman then fights Lennox Lewis and knocks Lennox Lewis out in the 5th round. So I trained a guy who knocked this one dude out, right? And then he got to fight the champ. And the champ beat his ass.
But champ beat his ass when you weren't training
him. But the guy, that's my point. But the guy that I freaking trained you for to beat, that you knocked out in the 9th round, he beat Lennox Lewis. Mm-hmm. He knocked his ass out. And you beat him, but you can't beat Lennox Lewis? What's the deciding factor? What's the least common denominator that just wasn't there? Probably that crazy ass white dude that had you freaking throwing up all over yourself while you were doing star jumpers, while you were cursing my freaking name and you were winning every fight. Me. That's the freaking difference. And so I was just like, I proved to myself as soon as Lennox won that fight and I won all that money, I proved that I knew exactly what I was freaking talking about.
Yeah. Then you mentioned to me recently that you just reconnected with Tua.
Oh yeah, that's my brother. You know, like
How was that reconnecting with him?
it was hard. Choked up, and both of us got choked up because, like got to say a lot of things that we couldn't say at that time. Just there was so much going on.
You saw him in person or just like over text?
Well, we just WhatsApp, FaceTime.
Yeah.
And he's bouncing back and forth from Samoa to New Zealand, and they just had their Independence Day, 61 years of independence. Samoa did, so, but yeah, one day we went bowling in Vero Beach, and I'm walking out of the bowling alley with these guys, right? So I got David Tua, Vernon Forrest, and Arturo Gotti. I'm walking out of the gym. I said, what if somebody's like some crazy ass rednecks just want to start a fight with us right now?
You killing
Could
them.
you imagine the freaking devastation? Like, I was just walking with like 3 wrecking crews, and just like it was an amazing time in my life, and then it was also David Tua was supposed to fight Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson came when Mike Tyson got out of prison. Mike Tyson came to main events. Mike Tyson was in our stable for a minute. And then there was a cocaine incident. And then him and Tommy Brooks was the main events trainer. Tommy Brooks and Tyson had to go to a separate camp.
So Tua and Tyson never ended up fighting?
Never fought. But that would have been one of the best fights ever.
Who would have won that fight?
I say if I'm training David, just because David's more technical boxer. David's a bronze medalist in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And the guy that he lost Lennox won the gold, David Izon won the silver, and David Tua won the bronze. David knocked out David Izon in professional fight. So he avenged that silver medal that he should have had. Yeah.
And he would have avenged
and he would have had to fight Lennox Lewis. So David never got a chance to fight Lennox Lewis because of him getting, the bronze medal. Mm-hmm. So he never got a chance. David Izon fought Lennox Lewis and lost, and that's how he got the silver.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Tua ended up fighting Lennox later on.
Yeah, and then he lost,
yeah.
Right, at 250.
What did you think of that Ryan Garcia Tank Davis fight?
I think that when you're not ready and you think you're ready, it shows. So if I hit you in the liver and you really are in the best shape of your life, you're gonna fight through it. Look at Arturo Gotti, bro. Mm-hmm. Look up Gotti Ward 1. Arturo got freaking smashed in the freaking liver. He got up. Take your 8 count. Get up.
I saw Ryan Garcia. He was talking on this podcast, and he goes, yeah, like, I don't drink water. I don't cold plunge because I feel better when I don't do that stuff. He goes, I run 8 miles, and I barely drink any water because I don't feel good when I drink water. Well, then it shows.
Yeah.
It shows when you're not like that. That's science. Like, no one's debating whether or not you should be drinking water and hydrating.
Yeah.
It's not up for debate. If you don't want to do it, then look what's going to happen to you.
Yeah. But I don't think it had a question to do with whether or not he was in shape. I just think it has a question or not whether or not, like, his mind and he really brought himself to a place where even if he got hit in the liver, that he could fight through it. I don't think he was... and you can tell, like, some of the things. Did you watch the comment, like the stuff after post-fight comments and shit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So none of his people were there. He's freaking hanging out with Tank Davis and Tank's trainers like they're best friends.
Yeah. Like
they're boys and shit now. So I'm like...
He got rid of all of his team too, Ryan.
Yeah. He should have. They let him down.
Yeah.
They let him down. It's like that David, as soon as David lost that fight to Lennox Lewis, he sued main events. He ended up, man, he was so pissed off that he freaking went and got an attorney. He sued their ass.
For what?
Because they freaking stole a shitload of money from him.
Did he win the lawsuit?
I believe he did. I think they signed a non-disclosure
NDA,
agreement,
yeah.
an NDA, but I believe he did because he has a beautiful gym in New Zealand. Beautiful, like 3 rings.
You ever gonna go out there and check it out?
I really want to. I think, like it's on my bucket list.
I want to go.
I would definitely
Let's
like
go
to
together.
see. I would love to see David again, and we don't have to. We don't have to pay for anything to stay anywhere. We don't have to pay anything for food. No place to stay. In Samoa, I think we should, here in the United States, we should adopt what they have in Samoa. In Samoa, there's really no police. So let's say like you got a problem with somebody in my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got a problem with my son. Something happened or whatever, you got a problem. They have these little round sand pits all over the island, and they settle all their disputes in the sand pit.
I like that.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest.
And then, but win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter if you're the one who stole and then you won, win, lose, or draw, you both will shake hands afterwards, and then the chief, he makes things right. So that's it. There's no like somebody has to go to jail or book somebody or do
What
anything
happens if
like
someone
that.
challenges David Tua to one of those things?
I wouldn't.
Lights out for them.
Bro, I wouldn't. Like he could knock out a horse, bro. He could knock out a full-grown horse. They have wild horses and shit over there. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's dude. There's a funny if you get a chance, somebody says to him, they said, Dave, just a quick question. He says, what do you think about what your opponent said about your mom? And Dave's like, you better pick the next words out of your mouth very freaking carefully. And the guy's like, well, he said she's a lovely lady. And he goes, I like this guy. But bro, you could have heard a hair drop. Like, it was like, oh, no, you didn't. Like, yeah, that's like out of bounds.
There's a line.
Yeah, that's a bad line to cross.
Yeah.
So you just see the look in his face and just look right through him. He's called the Terminator.
Why would you mess with a guy called
The Terminator,
Yeah.
unless you want to get terminated.
Exactly.
Suicide by Terminator. Yeah. Okay, let's make this.
I don't want none of that. You call yourself the Terminator, I'm out.
Yeah. So
I don't care who you've knocked out. If you're calling yourself the Terminator, I'm gone.
Yeah.
But you didn't end up finishing about Travis and Tevin.
Oh yeah, so Travis just started training with us. He was scared. He didn't want to train with us, and then we finally got him to come out a couple of times. He was like, "Oh, it's not that bad. And then he went over to Oxbridge, and pretty much that was all she wrote.
You keep in touch with him at all?
Yeah, I talked to him. I think I just talked to him about an hour ago.
I mean, last season, he was pretty solid.
Yeah.
He got a kick return, or he got an onside kick return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's rare. That's pretty cool.
He had a couple little nagging things, I think, towards the end of last year. I think they had to just clean up. Like there was something they had to clean up on one of his knees or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it was anything major. So I think he missed the last 2 or 3 games maybe of the season. But I know he's fine now. He feels great. He feels great. He looks great. He looks like a machine.
There's not many better coaches right now he could play for than Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely...
Well, he's with the Bears now.
Right. That's going to be a scary team. Justin Fields. And
Yeah,
I think
that's what I'm saying.
Who's
Who's the coach for the Bears?
I don't know. Let's check.
Who's the Bears coach?
Matt Eberfluss.
I don't know any. I don't know shit about him.
Never heard of him before.
Yeah, I don't know about him.
He seems young.
Yeah. So, but they got Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And I think Travis is definitely the best back in the NFL as far as keeping the quarterback safe on third down.
He's a good blocker.
Oh my God, tremendous. And here's the thing with Travis, right? Look at his yards per catch, his yards per carry. Every time that the first person never brings him down. He never lets the first person bring him down. Incredible blocker. He plays on punt team, punt receiving team, kick receiving team, right? So you got the Swiss Army knife with him.
Yeah.
If another, instead of 5 players, you have 1 player that does all 5 things.
Hopefully the Bears play him because, I mean, I feel the Seahawks underused him.
They did. But I don't. But here's the thing. They were in transition. Russell Wilson is freaking garbage now,
talk
right?
about that. Broncos, he sucks now.
He sucked before that.
I mean,
the year before.
He won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm saying the year before he left in Seattle, he was horrible. But remember, he broke that bone in his finger. Broke a bone in his finger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he wasn't all that, but he didn't make up for it, let's say, last year at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did horribly last year. And Geno Smith is just
great. He played great.
He's okay.
He played great on
He's an 8-8 quarterback. He's a 500 quarterback.
He's old.
I mean,
how old is Geno Smith these days?
32, 33.
I don't think he's going to be that
good.
He
originally played for the Jets, and I believe he was at West Virginia.
Yeah, he sucked on the Jets.
But it's the Jets, though.
I know, but
it's the Jets.
We got Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah.
We got Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
We got Breece Hall.
So
hopefully we can do something with that.
I mean, that's what's needed. But when what's his face was there, they were trash.
Who?
The boy you're just talking about.
Geno Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were trash.
They sucked, yeah.
That's not his fault, it's like everybody tries to put so much on these quarterbacks. Like they say the team goes or fails based on the quarterback. I still don't believe that. I believe defense still wins championships. If it was true, Tom Brady is a freaking incredible quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He got freaking bounced.
I mean, yeah. Look what happened to him this past season.
That's what I'm saying. He got bounced. No security blanket. No Gronk. Didn't have that
Julian
guy.
Edelman.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, those guys, I mean, their off seasons, they're throwing to each, like us going out, like you used to come out with me and the guys on the field. Like, those guys are getting together, and they're running all their routes in the off season. You're a freaking multimillionaire. Oh, you guys, come on over to my mansion. I got the football field in the backyard. Mm-hmm. Let's go over freaking smash routes and this and that and the other thing. Like, how hard is that really? When you have that much money, let's get together and just train, and practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did, and that's why those guys were unstoppable for a long time.
They had that chemistry,
and plus, Bill Belichick's. He's worth probably 5 or 6 wins out of the season just based on the defenses that he runs.
Yeah.
He's a great defensive coach.
There's something about being tight with your teammates off of the field that brings you that chemistry on the field.
Yeah.
If you look at Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce now,
they're
unstoppable. Who's stopping them? And look how close they are off of the field. They just played a golfing tournament with each other this week.
Mm.
And they're going to go... And they won that, and they're going to go win another Super Bowl this season.
And and if their health permits it,
Right.
I always feel like the healthiest team at the end of the year
is the best.
Is going to be the best team at the end. Of the year.
I mean, we saw Pat Mahomes. He got injured, but he played through.
Mm-hmm.
He played his heart out.
Their biggest thing was they were able to keep their starting 5. Their starting 5 linemen, offensive linemen. They really didn't have too many injuries on their offensive line.
They have a really solid... And
they work well together, that offensive line.
And it's crazy because beginning of the season, when they traded Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, no one thought they would be able to do it without him. It just goes to show you that, you don't... Even that one guy that carried you the last year, you can still build a team around the other players that you have and go win another Super Bowl.
But, you give up Tyreek Hill and then you get some freaking big-ass 350-pound beast, to play guard for you. to protect your freaking $80 million, $100 million investment.
And they had this one running back who was like a nobody, and all of a sudden he played amazing with them last season. I forget his name.
Oh, yeah. He is good. Real feisty dude.
Yeah.
Number 25. I can't remember his name. He's like 25.
I don't know.
He's like number 25 or 29.
Was it Isaiah Pacheco? Was it him? Number 10?
No.
I don't know. Anyways, you mentioned in the beginning that you were Mr. Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that. What was that?
The worst. That was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. In 93, I won Mr. West Palm, and they have what's called the National Physique Committee, and it's like all the amateur bodybuilding. They run all the amateur bodybuilding shows. So in order to turn professional, you have the NPC Nationals, which if you go into the NPC Nationals, you only have to win your weight class to get your pro card. So in the Mr. USA, the NPC Mr. USA, you have to win the overall in order to get your pro card. So if you just want to say you win heavyweight, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now you got the heavyweight against light heavyweight, against the middleweight, against the lightweight, against the bantamweight, right? So the winner of the overall, that's who gets their pro card. So you could feasibly win Mr. USA in your weight class, not turn pro. So you go into the nationals and do that shit, though. You win your weight class, pro card instantly. But the nationals is like literally like 300-400 competitors in the men's group, 300-400 competitors in the women's group. Prejudging starts around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. By the time they get done with prejudging, people are coming back. People are coming back for the night show to do the routines with their music, right? So way harder to turn pro in the nationals, even though you only have to win your class, because you're just freaks out there. So to give you an idea, I'm 5'8". So in order to turn pro, I'd have to be 5'8", 240, and sliced like I was when I won Mr. Florida. And I was like 189 when I won Mr. Florida. I'd have to be 240. Like literally another 50 pounds of pure shredded sliced diced muscle in order to win.
Is that even possible?
It is, but that's growth hormone, and that's freaking steroids, and that's like, 10 pounds of chicken a day, and 3 18 packs of eggs.
Yeah. But was it the same back
day.
then when like how it is now with everyone's just juicing up?
No, because back then it was everything was like black market, right? So now they have like, you can go get your testosterone tested, and I could go to my doctor and they'd be like, test my testosterone and it's low, bam, give me a prescription and I'm good to go, right? Mm-hmm. But back then, not so much. So everybody would go to Mexico and get all the freaking steroids and growth hormone and shit like that down there, and they bring it back across the border. And that's how a lot of the bodybuilders got it from Mexico, because you could just today you could walk into the pharmacy in Mexico, give me Anavar, give me Cypionate. Okay, no problem. And just give it to you right over the counter. So there were people that were doing a lot of it, but most of the people that were doing it were trying to turn pro. Like, you really didn't have like a lot of guys, like if they entered a state level show and they just wanted to be in the Mr. Florida, and they'd done okay at some local shows and see what they could do. They could look really good, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
They're
Were you on any of that stuff?
So I did a drug which is called clenbuterol, and clenbuterol raises your adrenaline levels. So when you're dieting really hard and you don't have a lot of energy because you're not eating carbs, that's the reason that I chose that. So as far as like anabolics, they say Anavar is a slight anabolic because Anavar is a slight anabolic, but clenbuterol that I was taking for your adrenal gland, clenbuterol is not for that. Basically, like third world countries, they give it to their livestock, so their livestock will be like leaner.
So it's not
Won't be
like,
so
it's not
fat.
anything crazy.
Yeah, it's nothing like shooting yourself up or
Yeah.
anything like that. I would have the job I had at the time, super hard construction job. I was chipping concrete all day, and I'd go to the gym and have to take a shower there and change out to get ready to start training. And man, I'm freaking exhausted and be in the heat all day. So I drink a cup of coffee and I'd take one of those clenbuterols, and I'd just be able to get through my workout,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like, adrenaline's a powerful drug, right? So anything that increases your adrenaline is good. So I just got through my workouts. I don't think it really so much like gives you any type of anabolic
Like helps
edge.
with muscle growth or anything.
I don't
like
think
that.
it gives you that. It may look leaner,
Mm-hmm.
but I was working in 110 degree heat anyways. How much leaner did I need to be? I think that's one of the reasons that I looked so good, because I had a hard job at that time, and I was pulling heavy concrete up, pulleys and stuff like that all day. And so, yeah, that was
Tell us your bench real quick, because I know you tell me all the time. It's
so the
insane.
week before I won the Florida, they had a pound for pound contest where Bremen Motors is now. It used to be like a social club, and they had this huge. They have like these contests, like. So they had this bench press competition there. It's all promotional, get more people to come out and stuff like that, So I benched 520 at 190.
Insane.
The week before,
Crazy.
the week before I won Mr. Florida, because I used my diet, right? I used my diet and cutting weight. So they base it on your weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I benched like 2.7 times my body weight.
Wow.
Yeah. But I benched 225 for 49 reps though. And I feel like that was more important to me.
Yeah.
I
I remember one of the guys that would come work out with us.
Yeah.
Because for a while it was just me, you, Tevin, and Jacoby working out at LA Fitness. And Jacoby benched 225 for like also some insane
43, right?
Yeah, something crazy like that. Do you still keep in touch with him?
Yeah. Yeah. He lives with Tevin. They have a place down there in Travis and all them. They live together.
Yeah, where's Tevin playing at now?
So, man, he's on this team, the North Carolina Mustangs.
That's an IFL team?
Yeah, NAL.
And
It was an NAL, National Arena League.
I think the Arena League switched to, it's called IFL now.
I have no idea, but he was playing in San Francisco for the first 3-4 games, and then he went to this Carolina team for more money. And like last week, he goes, man, the team folded. I'm like, what? He said, the team folded. I said, well, call Albany up. Like, Albany has the most freaking following of any
Is that the
arena
one
team.
that Antonio Brown just bought?
Right. So he said, I did. He said, they folded too. I'm like, what? So then if you look it up, Antonio Brown went into the freaking bank account and he drained the team's bank account. So every person that got paid by the Albany Empire has to pay back their money.
Did Tevin get paid by them?
I don't know if But Tevin was with Carolina, right?
But he was
believe,
with Albany.
I believe he did. But at this point, I think it was just like. So I said, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, you can go to another team. And I think at first he was leaning towards going to another team. But I think there's 3 games left in the season.
Not worth
and
it.
I don't think it is worth it. I don't think they would fly him in. I think San Antonio was interested, but I don't see them flying him in just for 3 games.
Do you see that whole thing Antonio Brown did? Like, he was hyping himself up, saying that he would come play for a game with the Empire. And, like, he was saying it like a day before.
He would have got his ass
He didn't
smacked.
even show up.
He would have got his ass torn the fuck up, boy. This is a totally different game.
Yeah.
That's a totally different game. Doesn't matter. I don't care how good of a receiver you are. Tevin's freaking NFL corner, but playing in that game, it took him a couple games. I mean, their motion is coming right at you. They're allowed to come downhill straight at you. You know, in the NFL, they got to be going sideways. It can't be going right.
Do you think Tevin will ever make his way back to NFL?
I don't think that's like in the plan. I don't think that's what the plan is. I think Travis is going to end up having a good year with the Bears. God willing, he gets a huge contract extension, you know, and then our plan is to just open up our own gym one day.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Where do you want to open it up?
I want a chain of them. You know, I help so many kids.
Yeah.
I help so many
but
kids.
You got to start with one somewhere, though.
Yeah, I think well, we got to see where the money comes from, but probably Boynton. Probably Boynton will be the first one. But I so much want to do like one in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I want to do, you know, a couple in, you know, Palm Beach County is the largest county east of the Mississippi River.
Really?
Yeah.
Bigger than Miami-Dade? Broward?
Palm Beach County is the largest county per landmass east of the Mississippi River. Yes, sir. Think about it. It's all the way from past where Gardens is, all the way to Broward County, all the way to Lake Okeechobee, and all the way to the ocean. Think about how big that square is.
Yeah, pretty massive.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, that's why the sheriff's office has like 6,000 deputies, not counting correction deputies. The fiscal budget over $550 million a year.
Crazy.
Yeah. We called ourselves Gang Green. Like I was on a gang task force, but we were Gang Green. So, yeah. So I was like one of those guys that would like wake you up at 3:00 in the morning and put the AR in your face. And I arrested a lot of bad people.
So you were like raiding houses and all that
Yeah,
type of stuff?
I worked in the warrants division, did a lot of warrants. I had over 800 arrests in 4 years, and 75% of them were kids from the age from 12 to about 20.
Sad.
Gang members. Man, 12-year-old kid trafficking women 40 years old, bro. 30, 40 years old. 12-year-old kids trafficking grown-ass women. Yeah. Yeah. There's the Sound of Freedom. You should go see that movie. Did you hear about it? Mel Gibson film?
What is it about?
And tell all your listeners, everybody go see Sound of Freedom and let's stop this child trafficking. Yeah. Look it up. It's good. Mel Gibson he went and did this huge documentary about, you know, all these kids. Like, you know, there's 85,000 documented illegal immigrant children that nobody knows where the hell they are.
It's probably way more than that.
Well, that's the ones that they know of, right? Sure. But the ones that they know came in here and had been checked in already. They have no idea where these freaking kids are. 85,000 of them. And the United States, believe it or not, we are like the largest user of child trafficking. Because think of it, it's the commodity. It keeps on giving over and over and over again. If I sell you cocaine, once you do that cocaine is gone. But I could sell a kid
and they're
over
just gonna,
and over
they
and
keep
over
on telling
again.
these kids to come right in. Right in through the... Yeah. Right into Texas, right into Southern California. Come right in.
Come right in. That's it. And you know, and we are... You know, and Secretary Mayorkas, like, I mean, they need to impeach his ass. I mean, this guy is like tits on a bull. He hasn't done one freaking productive thing since he's been the director of Homeland Security. Like, if you and I went to our job and we even remotely did our job the way these people do their freaking job, but we would be fired in a heartbeat. Your dad's a lawyer. You think that, I mean, like, you know, the people that do his books could come in here and do freaking, you know, just, you know, come in here half hammered or whatever and make all kinds of mistakes on the books and then be like, oh, it's no big deal. They found cocaine in the freaking White House, bro.
And you see what they're saying now? They can't figure out who it's from.
Come on.
Are you kidding me? The Secret Service can't figure out how something got into the White House. If they can't figure that out, the entire Secret Service team needs to be fired. That's supposed to be the most secure building in the entire world.
They just tried to paint an alibi for this guy, saying that it was found in the West Wing, but it wasn't. It was found in the East Wing, right next to where it was found in the library is where it was found. And that's in the East Wing, and that is where Hunter was until he left with his daddy.
I don't understand. There's cameras everywhere in the White House. You look at the cameras, you see when the cocaine wasn't there and when it was there. And you go see who put it there. What's so difficult about that?
Unbelievable. And so it's just like...
They look like idiots right now because they know exactly where it came from. And they're too scared.
The rest of the world is looking at us with this freaking feckless, freaking disgusting lack of leadership that's going on right now. And it's a good thing we don't border China and Russia. Because if we did border China and Russia, they'd be all over our ass right now. We'd be invaded by now. Oh, my goodness, for sure. So, yeah, man. So, you know, I just got to hold on tight for another couple years.
We'll just keep making accounting errors of $7 billion and sending all that to Ukraine.
$7 billion. Like,
how many accounting errors? $7 billion. That doesn't happen. So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we're definitely in a very fragile state right now. Our country's in a very fragile state. Unfortunately, it's a lot more fragile than I've ever seen it before. And I fear for you, and I fear for my son. It's like, we're going to have to reel this crap in here. Is there going to be a day where, my son's children go, man, I sure wish communism would just be over with and done with already? Because that's what's ruling, the day, and it's just so bad. Like, we can see all the examples of how communism does not work around the entire world, yet we still have these horrible progressives trying to push this shit down our throat. And the freaking Rainbow Coalition, these people are getting on everybody's last nerve, and you got Caitlyn Jenner coming out and say, I'm not with these people. I have no idea what the hell these people are on or doing. It just and I hate to say it, like, this all started because we said, sure, man. I mean, two guys, you guys want to get married, for tax purposes. I mean, you're gonna be faithful to each other. Sure, get married, okay. And then they just want to take it another step. And then another step, and then another step. Oh, you don't want to make us a cake because we're gay? No, we don't believe in homosexuality. Why would you, if you're homosexual, why would you want people that don't believe in homosexuality to make your cake anyway? But that shit, that stuff you would never think would make it to the Supreme Court, that shit made it all the way to the Supreme Court.
It's wild. And now all this stuff with, like, biological males playing in female sports.
Yeah, it's not the other way around, right?
It's disgusting.
It's all one-sided, but it's all one-sided.
Can you imagine if Caitlyn Jenner would have played in the Women Olympics?
Yeah.
He's a gold or whatever.
Yeah, decathlon, yeah.
Gold medalist. Yeah. Imagine if she would have done that in the Women's Olympics.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
But the problem is, and I was just talking to Brandon about this today too, it's all one-sided. You don't ever see a girl that's trying to be a guy, right? And that girl that's trying to be a guy play running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
In any male professional sports, because it's not physically possible.
Right.
We're biologically built
Well, I'm sure
entirely
there's
different.
there's some, right? But even if you go to golf, right? Shit, the guys are teeing off. They're hitting 300-400 yards. The girls hit like 250
So Serena Williams, by far the best female tennis player of all
ever.
time, lost to like one of the like a
Worst.
college player or like
120th ranked college player in the world got her ass kicked in 15 minutes.
and that's not a knock on Serena Williams by any means. We're just biologically built
different.
entirely different.
Different. You know, the serves, like those girls, they serve about 110 miles an hour, but males serve is like 125, 130 miles an hour. You know, can't do anything with that.
It's you obviously know Dana White being in the fight industry. So I was listening to him the other day, and he was like, for all these young kids growing up, he's like, if you guys just know how to work hard, you're gonna make it, because 99% of the kids growing up in this generation don't know how to work hard. So if you just work hard, you'll be good. And I was like, well, I grew up around guys like you, and imagine if I didn't work hard when I was training with you.
Yeah.
What like. I wouldn't have lasted a day.
Don't come out.
All I know how to do is work hard now,
Yeah.
Because that's just been. I met you when I was 12.
Yeah.
I'm 17 now.
Yeah.
For 5 years, that's all I know how to do at this point is just work hard.
What was your surgery?
Appendicitis.
Oh.
I was rushed into emergency surgery.
That was horrible,
Crazy.
huh? How'd you know like something was going on?
So I woke up on like Wednesday night. I started not to like feel well.
Mm-hmm.
I told my mom, I was like, I'm gonna wake up for school, but like I don't feel well, so like I'm not sure if I'm gonna go, but I'll set my alarm and I'm gonna wake up anyways. I wake up Thursday morning and my throat was sore and I just didn't feel well. Eventually, I ended up with a fever, and throughout the entire day, I was just in so much pain in my stomach. And me, I have a weightlifting class in school, and so I worked out in weightlifting class. I worked out abs. And then in the gym from you, I work out abs every day because that's what we do. 5 minutes of abs after every workout. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So then I worked out abs again. So I worked out abs twice that day, and my idiot was like, oh, I just worked out abs too hard yesterday. Like my abs are just sore.
That's all you thought it was.
That's what I thought it was. And my mom, eventually when she came home at like 6 p.m., she was like, nah, you did not work out abs too hard. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So we ended up, one of our neighbors who's a pediatrician came over. She checked me out and she's like, yeah, you should probably go. We went, they checked me out. Yeah, you have a appendicitis. It needs to come out. That was Thursday night. Friday morning, we ended up knowing the surgeon at this hospital. He came in on his day off, did my surgery. That was Friday, maybe 10 a.m. Friday at 6 p.m. I was home.
You were here?
I came back home. Less than 24 hours, I was in the hospital. Usually people stay like 2 or 3 days after their surgery in the hospital. Maybe 7 hours after my surgery, I went home.
Good. That's good.
I just didn't want to stay there. Recovered way faster in my own house, sleeping in my own bed.
Sure.
I mean, something about that hospital environment.
It's horrible.
No one wants
It's horrible.
to be there.
And I was in the hospital when COVID was going on, so I wasn't even allowed to have anybody come visit me. So you're sitting up there, all by yourself, and shit really freaking sucks,
It's awful.
Yeah, and I got support dogs and shit at home too, and not seeing my son. Yeah, that shit was that was the worst. The only thing good about it is the drugs. It's the only freaking thing positive of it.
They prescribed me, I think it was Percocets. I didn't even take them.
That's good.
I said
they're the devil, bro.
I don't even think I took Advil after my surgery. I said I'll deal with the pain. I'll be fine.
Check this out. Like I wanted to like stop taking oxys for so long, but I could never fucking stop taking them. And then I got that allergic reaction to them, right? And then I was like, damn, now what am I going to do? But when I came off of the Dilaudid, it was way easier to come off of Dilaudid than it was when I was trying to come off of oxys. Because there was a couple of times after I had a couple of surgeries and I thought I was going to be okay. So we tapered my medicine down, and I tried to get off of the oxys and I was like, couldn't freaking get off of them. And then they made me sick. So when they made me sick, I was like, okay, we gotta I know when I'm in the hospital, they give me injection of Dilaudid. They have that stuff in a pill form. My doctor, like, okay, let's try that. And then, I was like, okay, well, because I told you I was losing stuff. So then I was just like, okay, well, I don't want to lose stuff anymore. Then when I tapered off of those, it was way easier.
Imagine if you didn't get sick from the oxys though.
Yeah, I would still be fighting with them. I'd still be fighting with them.
There's a huge opioid epidemic in our country right now. I mean, that's one of the biggest threats to our country.
And there's not even oxys on the street
Tons
anymore.
of people are overdosing every day.
Well, there's fentanyl. It's all fentanyl on the street.
Things getting laced, yeah. But no, I told my parents, I said, I used to work out with Coach Jason in the heat of the summer for 2 hours. You think a little surgery on my stomach is going to... I don't need any Percocets or any Advil or anything like that.
Well, that's good because they just are. They're just so... And it's weird, man. It's like your bottle will be over there, and literally like after you take one, like 2 hours after you take one, you'll catch yourself looking over at that bottle. And I'm just like, man, these things are freaking, they're the devil, and then forget about it if you're in pain, you know what I'm saying? Because you're like, oh, well, I'm definitely going to take an extra one, like, you're not even thinking twice about it. You're definitely going to take an extra one. But I just know when they gave me the Dilaudid and I had to get off of them this last time after my surgery, I didn't have any of that. I just think like the whole Oxycontin, the whole oxycodone, the whole Percocet thing, I think whatever it is, the chemical compound, the way that medication is put together, it is put together to freaking get people hooked. There's no other way around it. I don't feel like there is. And I mean, now they're coming out, they're saying that all the that everybody got, not only did they not work, people are having compartment syndrome. Some people are showing that they're sterile now.
Big Pharma's messed up.
And they mandated it that our special forces troops get it. Like people were being forced into that jab. That's so wrong. My girl was one of them. She works for Lumens. The people at Lumens, they're like big telemarketing and freaking and internet service. That they Seattle Seahawks. Okay. That's called Lumens Field.
Right, Lumen Field. Okay, right. That's why.
That's who she works for. So multi-billion-dollar corporation, but yeah, man, like she was forced into it, and they're not even allowed to be on Facebook talking about anything.
Only Twitter nowadays because Elon Musk. You can say anything you want on Twitter.
Yeah, but I'm saying as far as like my girl's company, like they're not allowed to put political posts on there. They can get fired for all types of shit.
But I mean, if you say anything bad about or anything like that on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, on Twitter you're allowed to, but anything else you'd be taken down right away.
Yeah, I'm not on Facebook anymore.
I'll probably have to bleep it out on this because it'll be taken down on YouTube.
I am not on Facebook anymore. I won't go on.
Do you do Twitter?
No.
You got to get on Twitter.
I'm on IG.
IG, that's Zuckerberg. That's the same thing as Facebook.
I know, but still, I mean, I use it because it's easier to contact people on the app.
I'm telling you, you got to get on. Anything you want to say on Twitter, you're allowed to say. Nothing gets taken down.
I don't even know how to use Twitter.
It's easy.
He said he didn't even know how to use Twitter either.
He could figure it out. He's my age. We're 17. We could figure that stuff out.
I didn't like it. It wasn't user friendly to me.
You'll figure it. You'll get used to it. I'm telling you, like, all the stuff that you want to read, all the information that you want to see is going to be right there for you.
Yeah. You think so?
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll sit down with you.
Yeah, I'll help you out. I'll show you how to use it.
I appreciate you having me come in today. It was good to talk to you. Good to see you. Yes, sir.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything we didn't cover? Anything you want to tell the people out there?
Don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. And if you got a glass jaw, you should watch your mouth.
There you go.
I was training this kid. He's probably 11 now. And so he just started working with him in boxing. And he said something to a kid in football practice, and the kid jacked him up. And so I'm like, why did you get jacked up? And he said, because I was talking smack. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to teach you how to fight, but once I teach you how to fight, you can't talk smack anymore. Like, that's over, And I was like, it's too bad he didn't punch you in the mouth, because you deserved it. But I think, like, as they were going on, it's on a football team, and the play wasn't even near the kid that I'm working with. And this one kid, that he's talking shit to, he's going to be like a 5-star defensive end. He's like 14 years old. And then, I don't know if you know this, like in Pop Warner now, they go by age. They don't go by weight anymore. So he's 11, right? And he's playing with this other kid. This kid's like 12 or 13. This kid is like 6'4", 225 pounds.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he's like 13 years old. So of course, when Jameer, all 5 foot, maybe 3 or 5'4", starts talking trash to him,
Yeah.
he got what was coming to him, but the play wasn't even kind of near him, and the kid kind of went out of his way to hit Jameer, and then like this, they had to break it up and stuff like that. But I told him, like, hey man, when you talk shit, like, expect something to come back your way. Shit splatters. You'll get some on you. And so, but knowing he came over the other day, and I'm like teaching him how to fight and everything like that. And I was like, you could see, like, there's always like this transformation, like the light come on, and yeah, it was, I love, that's why I do what I do. I like to watch the light come on and be like a kid just say something to him or something, and then now everything is gonna be okay. My son, he's not super into like all the athletics. Like, he hits pads, and he'll hit pads with me, and he'll box and stuff just like you or whatever. But he's grown up around it his whole life. Like Trey Mason coming over, what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Travis or whatever, whatever football player, like, he's always like been around it. So even since he's like a little kid, like, he never even would say hi to these people when they come over to the house. He's just eating his chicken nuggets at the table, so, but I'm glad, for some strange reason, I'm glad that my son isn't into football. I'm glad that he's trying to use his mind.
Yeah.
I
mean, you've seen how good, first of all, football can be for people, but
and how bad.
You've also seen how bad.
And everything has positives and negatives to it, and
yeah.
And just, I'm glad. I don't go to a lot of games either. I've not ever gone to watch Travis play a pro game. It's very hard when you have something invested so much in, and then there's forces out there trying to destroy everything that you built. So that's why I kind of like got to separate myself from it or whatever. I can't imagine what I would be doing if somebody was out there trying to hurt my kid, So I'm glad that he is, but I'm also glad that, like, he doesn't shy away from contact. He likes learning how to box, and he likes learning how to fight.
I think it's important. My kids are definitely going to be taught all that stuff.
Yeah. It is. We definitely need to get back to our roots and start building some strong men in this country.
100%.
Yeah.
You gonna go to any FAU games this season?
If I do, I'll call you. We'll go together.
Please, I want to go.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for having me, good. Jules.
Honored to have you on. This was by far the longest episode I've ever done. Almost like 2 hours we got. I mean, but this is entertaining.
I told you.
That's two full hours of an entertaining podcast. Great conversation.
It's a lifetime too, It's like, it's hard to fit, your life into a 2-hour thing. I was thinking about something as I was on my way over here. You could do a movie on my life about how I overcame being abused, physically abused by my parents. You could do a movie on my life about the competitions that I've been in and what I had to go through, you know, some of the stresses that I put myself through. You could have done a book about my life, about the fighters that I trained in my life, right? Because I like a bunch of different world champions that I was working with and there for 4 years. Could have do a book on my life about when I was a police officer, you know, and when I was a deputy sheriff. And there's like, I was just thinking like, man, I could write a bunch of different books.
Those would
You
be
know,
some
it's
great
not
books.
even chapters. It's because they're all a book in themselves. And I reached out to this one guy, you know, and he's like, oh, you know, because there's this company and like they'll do a book. They'll write your book. I think it was like $800 or something like that. They won like $800. But I was talking to him for a minute, and the guy really wanted to do, like, he really wanted to do a book on my life, you know. So, but yeah, I'm very fortunate to see a lot of like great things happen, you know, and also a lot of rough times, you know. But yeah, all in all.
Yeah, we definitely didn't. I mean, we scratched the surface barely with this.
I think so.
I mean, if you would have just even told a little bit of some of the stories that I've heard, this thing would have been taken down instantly because some of those stories are the most rated R stories I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. But again, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of ZQUAKE. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell button so you never miss another episode. Follow us at ZQUAKEPod on all socials. The Instagram stays the most active. The Reels go crazy. All the updates are on there. Until next time, peace.
Thank you, brother.
All right.